karma is the act that you perform. So when you perform an act, you have created a consequence.
We learn about life through questions.
How do we manage that in a relationship?
Can it also affect the circumstances?
Are they able to really understand any?
Why all these three things are linked together?
So what do we do of social media?
To answer some of these, Mr. Praveen Mankar, founder of Pratibim Charitable Trust, brings to you Face to Face. This week we are talking about karma.
In life, many times questions cross our minds. Whatever is happening in my life, why is it happening? जो कुछ होता है मेरे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों होता है? या किसी और के साथ भी? Why do things happen the way they happen? So, sir, I would like to ask you first a very fundamental question. What is the difference between karma and karma?
The difference is in semantics. You must understand that the basis of all these terminologies is Sanskrit. Sanskrit has two concepts in phonetics. One is the half syllable and one is the full syllable. So you can say ma and ma, or ta and ta. So when you say the short syllable, it's called halant. And when you say the full, then it is the halant plus the akshar.
So it's a complete pronunciation.
It's a complete pronunciation. So it is karma. The ma is full. It's not karm. So when you say karm, it is the North Indian way of pronouncing, shortening the sound. Karm. When you say karma, that's the correct Sanskrit pronunciation. And when you say karma, that is the English distortion, because the A is added after the K-A-R-M. So the way the Western world started pronouncing karma is karma. So essentially there is no difference between karma and karma.
So is there something like good karma and bad karma?
Sure. Good and bad are human concepts. So what is good for you may not be good for me, or what is good for me may not be good for you. And essentially you must understand what is karma first before you understand the good and bad part of it. Karma is a simple law of cause and effect. In scientific terminology, it's Newton's third law of motion. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. If you understand this much, you have understood the law of karma. It's also the law of reap as you sow. You can't plant a coconut seed and expect a mango fruit. If you have planted a particular seed, that's the crop that you will get. It's the universal law of cause and effect. Karma is simply cause and effect. Now when you say karma, if you talk in terms of the grammar, the Sanskrit grammar, karma is an act that is performed. The literal translation of the word karma is the act that you perform. So when you perform an act, you have created a consequence.
Okay.
Yeah. I took atta, put water in it and kneaded it into a dough. The atta has become a dough. The act of kneading converted the atta into a dough. So I did the karma, the act, the performance, which produced a consequence, which is a dough. If I don't break up the dough into smaller balls and roll it into a roti and roast the roti, the dough will become hard, unrollable, and then it's a waste. Or I have to re-knead it, or maybe it gets fermented. So I did half the job of kneading the dough but did not convert it into a roti. I did half the karma. I got the dough, which is an appropriate quality and quantity, but I did not convert it into the roti. So I did not get the benefit of taking the initial raw material and take it to its logical conclusion of making the roti. So karma is the action. Karma, I performed an action for which there is a consequence. Now, having created the roti helps me fill my stomach. It becomes my food. It helps me fill my stomach. So making a roti is a good karma. Leaving it at the dough stage and not converting it to roti is a waste
Yeah,
of
okay.
wheat flour. It's a bad karma.
Many times people feel, or we observe also, that there are people who are doing good for others or are good individuals, but still they tend to suffer. They have a lot of problems in their lives, and then people say that God loves such people, and so He puts them. He's trying to test them and things like that. There's so many theories which come up.
Yeah,
But
people say, why this is happening in my life?
my life,
I have been a
yeah,
good
yeah,
person.
good person,
Or even
exactly.
others comment that, oh, he's such a nice
good
person. I
person,
wonder
why
why
does
he's suffering so much.
exactly, yeah, that's the question.
So, that's again a logical question. Now, here you have added a dimension of time, which is a subtle dimension. You have not explicitly stated the time factor. But when you say, why this is happening in my life, you have inadvertently brought in the concept of something I have done in the past for which I am reaping the harvest today. The harvest is unfortunately unpleasant. And therefore, I am questioning, why did I reap this harvest? I have forgotten what I did in the past. So, there is a concept of time. When I say time, there is a concept of memory.
Okay.
What happened 10 years ago, what happened 20 years ago is faded in your memory. What happened yesterday, probably you remember. What happened 1 week ago, fair chance you will still remember, but it will be hazy, it will not be as accurate. If you are 85 today, what happened 80 years ago in your life?
There's no way you remember.
Maybe the memory is completely lost. Now, if I say what happened to you 200 years ago, you will say I was not existing. You were not existing in this physical form. But you, the entity, was existing. Your life was existing, your life form was different. Now, this is difficult for people to understand. For them, life is this body and end of the story. When you say this body and end of the story, you are talking of the form.
Yeah, like people say, no, we have only one life.
We have only one life.
And we want to live this life.
So, my form is over. But you have one life in a particular form.
Okay.
They don't complete the sentence when they say, I have only one life. You have one life in this form. But this life continues in a different form. So, whatever continues in a different form is like carrying forward your debits and credits into that form. You have done good things, you get the credits in the next form. You have done bad things, you get the debits in the next form. So, the credit and debit adjustments keep happening from form to form.
So, is this what you call a karmic cycle?
That's the karmic cycle, yes.
Okay.
And as long as you have these imbalances, debit and credit imbalances, if you understand a little bit of accounts, there is a ledger. There is a book of accounts and there is a ledger. So, if I am dealing with 5 people, then my book of accounts has 5 ledger accounts. Maybe you are one of them and there are 4 other people in my book of accounts. Each person has a page.
Okay.
From you, I have borrowed something, so I owe you something. With the other 4 people, I have given them something, so they owe me something.
Okay.
So, I have one debit account because I owe you and 4 credit accounts because they owe me something. Now, let's imagine at the end of the financial year, there is no change in status. You still owe me and I still owe them.
So it will
Do
carry
my
forward.
accounts get cancelled? No.
They don't.
They get carried forward to the next year. Now, what is true in a financial year is true in a lifetime. Whatever accounts are unsettled in this lifetime, they get an opportunity to square them off in another lifetime.
That's a wonderful.
That's your karmic cycle.
It's a wonderful way of explaining that. Yeah.
Now, next year in the financial situation, do I deal with only these 5 people? Not necessarily. I may have another 5 accounts added to my book of accounts. I may lend somebody something, I may borrow something from somebody. So, instead of these 5 people, now I have 10 people. So, my burdens have increased in the subsequent financial year because instead of dealing with 5 accounts, now I am dealing with 10 accounts.
So this kind of also answers a question that many times you feel that very unrelated people or some place where you may not have been or you ought not to be there, but you are there and you do something for that person.
Yes.
And then you realize like when you think of it later on, you say, what was I doing there actually? And then you
Exactly.
just, yeah. So this
Exactly.
is some kind of a credit debit probably that
So it is the chartered accountant who makes you do certain
that.
things without you understanding why you doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. That answers.
Why am I paying this particular tax? You may not be a finance man and you may not understand why you are paying a particular tax to the government. But the CA says you must pay this and you pay. Now, why have you paid that? You need not know. Who knows? The chartered accountant knows. So, in life, the chartered accountant is up there. Up there means somewhere in the universe who is monitoring your. People call that chartered accountant as God. So, God keeps your accounts. He knows where is the debit, where is the credit. So, if I have borrowed money from you and both of us transit from this body into another body, he makes sure that we meet somewhere which gives me an opportunity to pay you back. Now, when I am reluctant to pay you back and I don't pay you back, we again transit to another life form, which is the third life, and again the situation is created where you and I meet. Again, I have the opportunity of squaring the account. The more I delay squaring the account, or in another lifetime, I don't remember that I have borrowed money from you.
Absolutely.
So I feel that you have now borrowed money from me and there is injustice. I deserve the money from you and I hound you. Wapas karo. In the process, I am maintaining the distortion that happened 2 lifetimes ago. So this imbalance will keep continuing till the time I relent and say, okay, probably I owed you somewhere something in the past and you took it from me this time. No heartburn, no issue. That is the time the account gets squared and I am free from the attachment to your ledger account. And therefore we say I am free. Therefore we say I am liberated. When I am liberated from all the accounts, my soul is liberated and then you say I am in moksha or nirvana.
Okay.
So, in pure financial terms, these are debit and credit imbalances.
Wonderfully explained, I would say that. Yeah, so then another question that comes in the minds of people is, you've partly answered this question already, is that why should I keep doing good in this life form, I would say. I mean, how does it really help?
Again, good and bad are relative terminologies. Let me, since you have raised this point twice, let me give you a small example. That I construct a house. Have I done good or bad? Obviously, I did good. I constructed a house. Now that house is infested with white ants, termites, and I see the white ant mud hills on the ceiling. So what is my natural reaction? My natural reaction is my house is being destroyed by these white ants. So I call pest control,
kill all of them,
get these pests
out
of my system. Now I am giving instructions to the pest control people that these white ants are destroying my house, get rid of them. Mr. and Mrs. White Ant are sitting on the sofa looking at me and the pest control guy and hearing our conversation. So Mr. White Ant tells Mrs. White Ant, look at this rascal, this human being. He is planning to destroy our house. We have built it with so much of love, so much of effort, so much of time. We have constructed this house in which we are living happily, and this human being is now planning to destroy my house. So who is right? Now this is not the end of the story. While this ant and human being story is going on, somebody up there is watching and he is telling his wife, Mrs. God, look at these funny creatures. One creature is the human being, other creature is the white ant. Both of them destroyed my earth to build their house.
True.
And both are fighting, this is my house and this is my house. So right and wrong are relative. In their place, the white ant is also right. In his place, the human being is also right. And in his place, God is also right. So right and wrong are relative terminologies.
But then does that mean, the human being anyway has to get rid of that ant?
Sure, that's your dharma. Now you come to another word which is rhyming with karma. Karma is what you do. Dharma is what you are supposed to do.
Okay.
You are born Every species is born for self-preservation and self-propagation. Every species.
That's true.
So, you are protecting yourself, you are protecting your house, you are protecting your property, you are protecting your family. That's your dharma. Keep doing your dharma. Nobody stops you from doing dharma. When you get into the position of judgment that I am right and they are wrong, that's where the trouble starts.
It's a very difficult topic to really.
It's a connected topic. The
Yeah.
problem is we look at the dots in isolation.
Yeah.
We don't connect the dots. The minute you start connecting the dots, then that white ant is also my brother. He's also a life form. I am also a life form. He's also a child of God. I am also a child of God. That makes both of us brothers.
I think that also explains why I see a lot of people, if they find insects or if they find some, this thing in the house, they pick them up on leaves or something and just drop them by somewhere. They don't kill them.
Correct?
So that's also
There's a
not
lot
a
of
bad
logic.
idea.
There's a lot of logic in that. But again, if you talk about quantum physics, if you talk about vibrations, why do some life forms trouble the human being and why do some life forms don't trouble the human being? For example, a mosquito. In the same family, a mosquito bites a human being and doesn't bite
There's
another human being.
Yeah, that I've seen.
So,
yes.
a mosquito is troubling one human being and not troubling another human being. So, what is the difference? The difference is vibrations. That person whom the mosquito doesn't bite, his vibrations and the vibrations of the mosquito are in sync, in harmony, and therefore the mosquito doesn't bite that human being. The mosquito that bites the human being, their vibrations are not in sync, and therefore the mosquito is troublesome for this human being. So, the whole subject is synchronizing your vibrations with the vibrations of the universe, thereby minimizing your troubles. How to synchronize your vibrations? There are techniques, there are yogic techniques, there are breathing techniques, there are meditational techniques, various techniques. Take your pick.
Lots to take away and lots to think about. So let's try and do all good that's possible in this life form and probably move to being a better human being as we go along.
If you have some questions about life, please connect with us. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon for weekly updates.